welcome our blood viewers towards this news English edition. As usual, we bring to you the major and top highlights of tonight's news. Let's follow. Return of the President of the Republic to the country after his participation in the 5th semi-annual economic coordination meeting held in Nairobi, Kenya. The European Union and Tunisia reached an agreement worth 105 million euros in immigration. Those were the major and top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, has returned home after taking part in the 5th biannual coordination meeting between the African Union, the regional economic communities, and the regional mechanisms, which was held yesterday morning in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. On leaving the plane, the President of the Republic was welcomed by the Prime Minister, Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed, as well as members of the government and senior civil and military figures from the country. The Ministry of Labor in charge of Harmonization and Social Protection in the National Agency for People with Special Needs, which is also known in short as AMPH, held a ceremony this morning to sign a partnership agreement between the both institutions. The agreement was initiated by the Ministry of Labor himself, Mr. Umar Abdi Said, and the director of the AMPH, Mr. Duali Said Mahmoud. The aim of the signing was to further strengthen the rights of people with special needs as well as the good cooperation and collaboration between the two institutions. This signature was attended by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Labor, the Director of NFIP, and the Directors, Council, and AMPH officials. The second session of the Intergovernmental Meeting on the revision of the 1974 recommendation was held between 10 July and 13 July in Paris between 30 May and 2 June 2023 at UNESCO headquarters. The Republic of Djibouti was represented by the Secretary General of the National Commission for UNESCO, Mr. Mohamed Moussa Yabe, Mr. Abdulqadir Dahir Aden, Senior Inspector members of the Parliament delegation of the Republic of Djibouti to UNESCO. This revision of the 1974 recommendation on education for international understanding, cooperation in peace and education relating to human rights and fundamental freedoms was initiated by the 42nd General Conference of UNESCO in 2021. The revision process coordinated by a secretary set up to coordinate this work lasted 18 months. Its aim was to update the 1974 recommendation to improve its effectiveness and strengthening member states to better implement the recommendation. The revision process was inclusive, transparent, and went through several stages. Preparatory work, which involved organizing internal and informal consultation, work laid the foundations for the revision of the recommendation. A high-level bilateral meeting between the South Sudanese and Djiboutian delegation was held this morning, Monday 17 July 2023, in the meeting room of the Scal International Hotel at the Old Port of Djibouti. Discussions between the two parties focused on ways and means of strengthening bilateral cooperation between Djibouti and South Sudan in the area of trade, notably the implementing the terms of the Memorandum of Understanding. The meeting also discussed the creation of a joint committee made up of representatives from Djibouti and South Sudan to implement the terms of the framework agreement for cooperation between the two countries in the area of trade. The South Sudanese delegation was made up of various representatives of state institutions and led by the technical advisor to the Ministry of Petroleum, Mr. Mohamed Leno Benjamin. On the Djiboutian side, the delegation was led by the Petrol Director, Mr. Mahdi Absiye Buh, and the Port Commander, Mr. Mohamed Muzabar, who represented the Chairman of the Port and Free Zones Authorities. Let's listen now to some of the reactions made to the microphone of the RTD.
Sudan delegation came to Djibouti, and the team is composed of a number of ministries that are coming to share with their counterparts here in Djibouti on a number of areas, but mainly on the use of Djibouti port for the exportation and importation of goods into South Sudan, from Djibouti port. And one of these is actually our oil operations require a lot of materials that were being imported through Sudan and also through Mombasa. But because of crisis in Sudan now, we also have to get other options. And Djibouti is representing also one of these options. And this cooperation is started since 2012. We have been trying to operationalize it, and we have now gone many steps towards operationalization. Many MOUs were signed before, and we also work very hard now to make sure that these MOUs are implemented. And this is the reason why the committee is here. We had very good discussions, and we have outlined a number of areas that require the attention of the countries. And we have also noticed that Ethiopia is a very key to our success in the cooperation. So Ethiopia also will be involved, and we will have a tripartite meetings rather than only bilateral. And these meetings are headed towards reaching agreements which will facilitate trade and business between the three countries. And South Sudan is very eager to make sure that this thing moves very fast. That is why this high delegation from different ministries came to Djibouti. We are also very happy that we were well received by the Djiboutian side, and we believe that our cooperation will move very fast. Thank you very much.
In the presence of a high-level delegation from the headquarters of the NGO Al-Rahma International State of Kuwait, headed by the Director General of the NGO, Dr. Isa Al-Duferi, the Al-Rahma Complex organized a ceremony this morning in honor of the graduates of the Industrial High School and General Education. This event is part of Al-Rahma Complex in Djibouti's ongoing efforts to keep pace with the steps taken by the government led by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, to promote the general and industrial education sector, which is in line with the global mission of the Al-Rahma NGO, namely to build people through high-quality education services, healthcare, and education. As part of the sanitation of the city of Djibouti yesterday, ONYAD carried out the sanitation operation on Avenue Barsaville following the collapse of a water pipe dating from the colonial era. The team on site yesterday had to pump out the water before carrying out the necessary work. The work, which began on Saturday, will finish on Wednesday. ONYAD also apologizes for the inconvenience caused on the public highway by the work. Climate now, globally, June was the hottest month on record, according to the European Agency, Carbon Research, and the American agencies NASA and OAA. Then the first full week of July was in turn the hottest on record, according to parliamentary data from the World Meteorological Organization. The heat was felt in Africa, more specifically in Djibouti, where the daily temperatures broke records. As well as health problems, this heat wave is also raising fears of fires. That is why the Civil Protection is launching an awareness-raising campaign to prevent fires during the summer months so that people can take the necessary precautions to prevent themselves. A national consultation on the Kampala Declaration on Employment, Livelihoods and Self-Sufficiency for Refugees, Returnees and the Host Communities opened today at the Sunny Hill Center in Arta. Organized by IGAD in partnership with GIZ, the meeting aims to assess the progress made in implementing the action plan resulting from the Kampala Declaration. It is also an opportunity to identify the structural and cyclical obstacles, whether political, legal, or administrative. The Director of IGAD's Health and Social Development Division, Mrs. Fathia Abubakar Alwan, the Executive Secretary of ONARS, Mr. Hussein Hassan Darar, GIZ Executive in charge of Immigration Management Project of IGAD, as well as the Prefect, Mr. Hassan Dabali, and the President of the Arta Region, Mr. Elmi Buh, sponsored the opening ceremony of the national consultation. The work of the national consultation will be pontificated by presentations, followed by discussions and reflections on the most appropriate means of strengthening the inclusion of refugees and host communities. These discussions and reflections will be held with a view to the World Refugee Forum in December 2023, with each country will be asked to present its priorities and action plans for providing refugees with durable solutions and means of employment. It was with great pride enjoyed that the Association of Young People for the Development of Sankal held an exceptional award ceremony this Sunday. The event was orchestrated to celebrate the remarkable achievements of 5 prize winners, members of Sankal School's first intake for the 2010 academic year, who brilliantly graduated with their bachelor's degree under the inspirational leadership of the young president of the association. The ceremony was attended by a number of eminent personalities, including the president of the regional council, Mr. Mahad Hussein Ahmad, and the deputy prefect, Mr. Idris Hussein Abbas. Accompanied by native executives from the region, these prestigious guests took part with enthusiasm and emotion in this grandiose ceremony, which proudly brought together Okal's traditional chiefs and the entire population, regardless of gender or age. More than 50 coaches gathered today in the conference room of the Football Federation Technical Center for the ordinary general meeting of the Djibouti Football Coaches Association. The meeting, chaired by the association's president Idris Ibrahim Subani, was an opportunity for the association's members to review the year's activities, the financial results, the outlook of the coming year, and other issues concerning national coaches. Former football coaches from the 80s and 90s were also in attendance. During the meeting, awards and certificates were presented to the best coaches in the first, second, and third divisions, as well as in women's football. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, the Prime Minister of Japan, Kishida Fumio, and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, have conferred cooperation between their countries in the energy sector in order to achieve carbon neutrality in their societies. Mr. Kishida is in Saudi Arabia for the first leg of his visit to 3 countries in the Middle East. The meeting between the two men on Sunday lasted more than 2 hours, including dinner. The two leaders shared the view that a stable supply of crude oil is crucial, as the future of global energy markets remain uncertain amid the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Kishida Fumio described Japan's plan to support Saudi Arabia with its advanced technologies in the next generation energy sector, such as the use of hydrogen and ammonia. Both have confirmed their desire to cooperate more to achieve carbon neutrality. Saudi Arabia is launching renewable energy in hopes of diversifying its industries. The Japanese Prime Minister also stressed the importance of the international order based on the rule of law, presumably referring to Russia and China, and called on Saudi Arabia to cooperate. The two heads of state agreed to launch a strategic dialogue between their foreign ministers in order to promote exchange in the diplomatic and security sectors. After the meeting, Kishida Fumio told reporters that he and the Crown Prince confirmed the importance of maintaining stable energy markets. He affirmed that they have decided to deepen the bilateral cooperation between the two countries in the key field of minerals essential for green energy and carbon neutrality. using Japan's technologies, he said. The two countries will work together to make the Middle East a hub for the global supply of green energy and essential minerals. On 16 July in Tunis, the European Union and Tunisia signed a strategic partnership focusing on the fight against illegal immigration, but also designed to support the North African country in the face of serious economic difficulties. The President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, welcomed the agreement, which will make it possible to invest in shared prosperity, citing five pillars: macroeconomic stability, trade and investment, green energy transition, bringing people closer together, migration and mobility, the Commission said in a press release. Well, but it's our blood viewers, we finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you once again for joining us.